Good evening and welcome to everyone on Love 101 FM, Facebook, and YouTube Live. This is Family Time, and Family Time is about your issues and your relationships. It's about your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us and please connect with us via all our platforms. You don't have to be on all of them one time, but you must pick at least one to be a part of, all right? So you can friend us on Facebook, and that is FLM Family Life Ministries. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Family Life Ministries FLMJA. And on Instagram, you can keep up with what's happening, and that's simply FLMJA. Now, Family Time is a family program, but we'd like to caution that it may, on the odd occasion, touch on what some may consider mature subject matters, and so your discretion is advised. My name is Roland Gale, and I'm going to be your host for this evening. Now, millions worldwide suffer from kidney disease, and a lot of them don't even know it. So today, we're going to break down the warning signs, the link between kidney health and other conditions. And because this is family time, we're going to talk about the impact on the family. That's a lot, but we're also going to squeeze in some time to talk about the best ways to keep your kidneys functioning well. Family is in the heart of kidney disease, but what do you and your family know about it? While we look into that, we want to hear from you. So here is your feedback question for today. How do you make sure your family eats healthily? You can send your answers via WhatsApp text and WhatsApp voice notes. And the number to do that is 876-997-3125. Try to keep your voice notes to no more than 30 seconds. Let me say that again, no more than 30 seconds. And you can also call our studio lines. Those numbers are 968-8327 and 968-8328. And you can even comment live on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. We're going to be right back with our special guests. Today we have with us Dr. Eleanor Riviera and Ms. Judy Bartley. When we're going to talk about kidney disease, that's who we're going to talk to. So you're not going to listen to me, you're going to listen to them, all right? And we're going to find out what the family needs to know. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
On the next Campus Connection, we will be focusing on nuclear science and technology. Nuclear science is the study of the atomic world. Atoms are the fundamental constituents of everything around us.
We will explore some industries beyond energy that use nuclear science, such as in medicine, agriculture, water treatment, and space exploration.
You are invited to join the conversation with Jamaican-born Dr. Charlene Smith, who is the first Black woman to earn a PhD in nuclear engineering from the University of Florida.
And don't miss our honorable guest, an auto mechanic teacher from Jonathan Grant High School, Miss Tracy Ann Hall, who is the 2024 MOEY LASCO JTC TVET Teacher of the Year.
Campus Connection is brought to you by Heart NSTA Trust. Skill is power.
That's Campus Connection, Tuesday, March 11 at 5:30 p.m. only on the Family Station. Love 101. Celebrating 32 years of sharing hope, touching hearts.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101 FM. That's what you're listening to now. And I want to welcome our very special guests today, Dr. Eleanor Riviera and Judy Bartley. Now, Judy is a registered dietitian with a special interest in nephrology. I mean, even I go try ask her what that is. And then we also have Dr. Eleanor Riviera, and she's assistant professor in the Department of Population Health Nursing Science, College of Nursing, University of Illinois, Chicago. Wow, what a mouthful. What a mouthful. And as Dr. Riviera, we are looking at and going to be listening to right now. How are you, Doc? How are you?
I'm doing okay. For March, it's a really nice day here in Chicago, but probably not as nice as the weather you guys got down there.
Oh, it's been lovely today. Today we've got beautiful sunshine and a little cool breeze. So it's been a lovely day here. I want to remind our listeners and our viewers as we go into the discussion, we want to hear from you. And our feedback question today is, how do you make sure your family eats healthily? And you can send us a note or a voice note by our WhatsApp line, and it is 997-3125. And we're going to ask you to keep those voice notes shorter than 30 seconds. And you can also call our studio lines, and that's 968-8327 or 968-8328. Those are the numbers for the studio. You can watch us and you can comment live on Facebook and on YouTube as well. But we're going to get going. And I think Judy has joined us. Judy, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, welcome, welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Doc on the line as well, and I know we're going to have an interesting, very interesting discussion. Most of us have heard the words kidney disease, and maybe we've heard about renal failure, renal disease, dialysis, and diuretics, things like that. But how many of us really understand what those words mean and how they impact the family? So our discussion today is about that. And I'm going to start with you, Doc. I'm going to ask, what is kidney disease, or another term could probably be renal failure? Are they the same thing?
No, they're not actually. So, yeah,
Okay.
I think the kidneys sometimes can be a little bit of a mystery. People don't even necessarily know what they do. And so they have a couple different functions, but the most important thing that the kidneys do is in your normal daily life, when you're eating food, your body turns it into energy, right? And whenever your body's doing that process, turning food into energy, there's waste products left over. And those waste products can build up. And what the kidneys do is filter them out of the body, and then they get it right out and they make urine, and then it's gone. And so when we talk about kidney disease, what that means is the kidneys are starting to have a decrease in their function, right? They're starting to not work as well. And so that's when we're talking about kidney disease. And if we get all the way to the point where they don't work at all, that's what we call kidney failure.
Okay, so renal is another word for kidney.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, what language would that be in renal? Is it Latin or something?
I think renal is the Latin, and then the nephro for nephrology, I think, comes from the Greek. So, yeah.
Ah, okay, we're learning a little bit of linguistics here today now. Um, and with you still, Doc, most people don't think about their kidneys until there is a problem. And you describe some of what the kidneys do for the body just there. But what is the problem that would normally come up if the kidneys stopped working properly? What problem do we see?
Yeah, so what you would imagine, right, is the same thing as if in your community you don't have the trash collectors coming by anymore, right?
Oh,
That waste starts to build up, and that becomes toxic to your body. And then also, because your kidneys are involved in making urine, the same thing with the fluid. If it doesn't have a place to go, it builds up and builds up. And so, luckily for us, the kidneys work very, very hard. And so, when you get right up to the point of kidney failure, they're still doing their best, and people can actually feel pretty good. And they might only be a few weeks away from their kidneys failing. And so that's why, it's almost like you're running out of gas, right? It's not until your tank gets very close to being empty that you start to see any impact, because the kidneys keep doing that work the best that they can, even if their function is reduced.
wow, that is you made me pause a moment there when you gave us that little analogy of if the garbage collectors don't come around and collect the garbage, how our communities are really impacted by that. I want to ask Judy, does what we put into our bodies impact our kidneys much?
Yes, it does actually. We have different nutrient that the kidney has to filter, as Doc says. Um, and if we're going to be consuming excessively high amount of some of these nutrients, it is going to put extra work on the kidney, which can lead to an issue with the kidneys eventually.
All right. So something like water. When Doc mentioned the fact of the kidneys not doing what it's supposed to do, and we retain these things, is water a good thing for us to give our body?
Yes, it is. A normally functioning kidney does what it does with water. The problem comes in, however, when the kidneys start not functioning as they are supposed to, actually. So then at that point, we have to be watching how much water, putting a restriction on our water intake pretty much.
Okay, what does that look like though? Because if the kidneys are not functioning properly and we continue to put something good, clean water in our system, what does that look like to us?
Actually, we have different stages of kidney disease, right? Or renal
Mhm,
failure.
mhm.
So as the stages increase, the function of the kidney decrease. So you have stage 1 to 5. 1, 2, and 3, basically the kidney is functioning pretty much at its not at its peak, but it's not very far off. And then when it comes on to about 4 or 5 now, then the kidneys are actually going down. So if we're going to be putting in all of this water, yes, it's a good thing, but the kidney is not filtering it out as it's supposed to. So what is going to happen now is that it's going to build up in the body, and we start having what you call it edema, a lot of swelling and all of those stuff at different areas of the body because the
Okay,
kidney is
so
not
edema means swelling. That's what an edema is.
not only swelling, but when we have a fluid retention, pretty much.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Wow. All right. I am going to probably ask you some very strange questions because I'm finding this very interesting. So there's another way that we get rid of water or fluids, and that's through sweating, correct?
Hmm.
Does the body sweat more if the kidneys are not working well?
I don't think it does. No,
No.
because
Okay.
the kidneys function and the sweating is basically two different things. So you will get more sweating taking place there.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't think
because I was wondering.
the body doesn't think of sweating as a strategy
Yeah.
for removing
Oh,
things.
it doesn't.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. No, still with you, Judy. Some people believe certain foods or drinks can cleanse the kidneys. Is there any truth to that?
No. What we normally recommend is basically to eat healthy. So you have
Okay, so
your complete meals,
mhm.
um, from all your food group, ensuring that you're getting your vitamins, your minerals, your correct carbs, protein, all of those stuff. So it's not necessarily certain foods cleansing the kidney per se.
Okay, so it's just an old wives' tale or an old dad's tale, if our husband's tale. Yeah, I don't want it to become a sexist phrase. All right, back to you, Doc. Kidney disease is often called a silent condition. Why don't people notice the symptoms until maybe they reach to stage 4 or stage 5? Why don't they notice it?
Yeah, I mean, because there really aren't very many. Like I said, that kidney just keeps working as hard as it can until the very end. So, yeah, as Judy mentioned, right, the biggest thing that people tend to see is they start to notice that swelling. Maybe they get some swelling down in their feet, their ankles, and their legs. It doesn't seem like it goes away. It kind of sticks around all the time. And that's because, the body's starting to sort of lose its ability to keep up with the amount of fluid that you're taking in. Sometimes
Mhm.
people might notice some changes maybe to like their urine. Maybe they pee a lot more or a lot less, or it seems like it's different somehow. But a lot of the symptoms are maybe a little bit vague, and it really depends on person to person. And for a lot of them, as Judy was saying, it's not until you get to those later stages that people really experience anything at all.
Well, all right. Who is most at risk for getting kidney failure or for experiencing kidney issues?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the biggest risks that we see in most people is high blood pressure and diabetes. And so when we have a lot of that salt building up in the body and that high blood pressure, or a lot of that sugar building up in the body, that puts a lot of that strain on the kidneys. And so, as much as we can to try to keep blood pressure in a good range and blood sugar levels in a good range, that helps the kidneys recuperate and not be working so hard.
Wow. All right. This has been an interesting way to begin our discussion. And ladies, we're going to have to go for a break. And I want to remind our listeners that our feedback question is there for you. How do you make sure your family eats healthily? That's a question we want you to answer. And you can send your responses via our WhatsApp line, and that number is 997-3125. And you can also send a voice note, but try and make sure it's less than 30 seconds. And today you can also call our studio lines. Those are 968-8327 and 968-8328. You can watch us and comment live on Love 101 Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. And just so that you know, the numbers for the FLM head office in Kingston are 920-1034 or 926-8101. Stick around for some more discussion on this kidney disease. It's so important for us to understand and learn these things. Thanks to Dr. Eleanor Riviera and Judy Bartley. Soon be back. Don't go nowhere.
Government pensioners, the Accountant General's Department's mobile life certificate drive starts on February 27 at the Trelawney Parish Library, February 28 the St. Anne Parish Library, March 1 St. Catherine Parish Library in Spanish Town, March 3 Morant Villas in St. Thomas and Hanover Parish Library, March 4 Westmoreland Parish Library, March 6 St. Mary Parish Library, March 7 St. James Methodist Church in Maypen, March 8 the Greater Portmore Library, March 10 St. Matthew's Anglican Church in Santa Cruz, March 11 our final stop will be at the Portland Parish Library in Port Antonio. Remember, life certificates can be submitted at the St. James and Manchester Parish Libraries, Ministry of Finance, and the AGD office at 21 Dominica Drive using the Dropbox.
Looking after life. We've been here for 25 years and we are Guardian Life. Just getting started. Leading the way every day. Protecting you and yours at every stage. Guardian Life. Looking after life. Caring for family, caring for you. Looking after life is what we do. For every generation, for every stage. Your partner for 25 years. Guardian Life.
Welcome back. We are talking about kidney disease, what the family needs to know. This is Family Time on Love 101 FM, and I have with me two very special guests. I'm going to invite them to come back in. We have Dr. Riviera, and we also have with us Miss Bartley. Welcome back, ladies. It is a pleasure talking with you today. Our question is, of course, how do you make sure your family eats healthily? And I'm going to ask you, no, I'm not going to ask Judy, I'm going to ask Doc. How do you make sure your family eats healthily?
Yeah, no, for me, that's a big question because it's me and my husband, but it's also my 7-year-old and my 9-year-old, and my dad lives with us too, and he's 75. I think the thing that I always try to focus on is balance, right? The trouble is when we start to let things get out of balance. So we want to make sure that we're being thoughtful about fruits and vegetables, about the protein we're taking in, the carbs, and you just don't want to overdo anything. And that's the best way that I think for my family we try to move forward.
To balance it, I hear you. And it's got to be a little bit difficult because that range that you spoke about, the young child, the big healthy adults, and of course those who are older and need perhaps a little different diet, that can be easy. Judy, how do you ensure that your family eats healthily?
Well, as a registered dietitian,
Papi Show, yeah, there you go. Papi Show, right away. Papi Show.
I try to ensure that we're eating from all the food groups, ensuring that the fruits and vegetables are there. Our protein is there, but not just protein or lean protein, not too much of the fats, that kind of thing. Ensure that we're getting our complex carbohydrates, ensure that the juices are not high in sugar, pretty much something like that.
Excellent. I love that. And the truth is, we've said it before that many people experience few or no symptoms in the early stages of kidney disease.
Yes.
But we want you to know before it gets out of hand, what are some things to look out for, what you ought to be doing, and so on. So I am going to invite our listeners, our viewers, try and make some notes in this program. because there may be some things that we need to make a checklist of, or some things that we need to be able to look back at and remind ourselves. And Doc, a little earlier we spoke about some stages in kidney disease, and I think we had mentioned there were 5. Can you just briefly describe those 5 for us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So these 5 stages are based on the level of kidney function. And so for stages 1 or 2, really people there, it's very minor damage to the kidneys. It's just kind of, I think, an opportunity for someone to reflect and think about making changes. Stage 3 is where a lot of people can hang out, and you can kind of stay in stage 3 indefinitely for the rest of your life if you keep an eye on things. And then when we get into stage 4, that's when people are going to start to experience more symptoms, and it's going to be maybe more often you're going to need to go in and see the doctor, the kidney doctor, which is the nephrologist. And then when you get into stage 5 is when you're looking at kidney failure, and things are much more severe, and the impact on people's lives is very extreme.
Wow, I hear that. And for Judy, what I want to ask you, for people in early stages, like say we are in 1, 2, or maybe even 3, are there specific foods and nutrients that we should be trying to focus on getting more of?
Well, not necessarily getting more off, but there are some foods that we're supposed to try and cut down on.
Cut
So
down on. All right.
yes, ma'am. So of course we talk about our healthy eating, but when it comes on to things like your high sodium foods, so the processed foods, the cured meats, that kind of thing, we have to cut down as much as we can on those. Or high potassium foods, we have to be cautious of those as well.
All right, I'm going to
Phosphorus,
stop you there a second. Are you telling me that I am not supposed to be eating too much bacon?
yes, I am.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I'm going to be your friend this evening. Tell me some other specific foods that you think ought to be kind of reduced.
But that before we continue, the bacon is not necessarily meat, you know. The bacon is fat. The
But it
bacon
tastes so
is
good.
fat. Yes, man, that's why it tastes good. Because it's high in fat and the
Oh,
salt. So it tastes very good, right? And then
wow.
we have others, so like the salt fish, the salt beef, the pig's tail, all of those stuff, the processed foods, even the fast foods. Because normally the fast food places are not preparing meals for persons with any kind of um condition, so to speak, right? So going to the fast food, you're going to get the high fat, you're going to get the high sugar, you're going to get the high salt, which is not ideal, especially for persons with kidney disease.
But at this point now, right, I kind of do have nothing to eat.
Of course you
What
do.
I must, tell me what I must eat now then. Tell me what I must eat.
Okay, so we can focus on our peas and beans. Those are protein. We can focus on our chicken and fish. Those are white meats, lower in our fats, kind of thing. We can focus on our nuts, right? We
Like donuts.
donut is not a nut,
All right, I'm just trying to be a little light with it, but
donut
I
is
know you're
sugar,
being serious. I know you're being serious. Go on.
right? We can focus on our whole wheat products, right? Or fruits and vegetables that have a lot of vitamins and minerals and those stuff. We can focus on those. So in the early stage of, as Doc says, in the early stage of kidney disease, there's not much damage. So we still can focus on eating healthy. Yes, cutting down on the excessive salt, excessive fat, that kind of thing, but there's not much of a restriction there.
All
When
right.
you reach,
Um,
mhm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
When you reach the later stages now, then that is where the restrictions would come in.
All right, I get you. And Doc, is there any kind of test that we can take to detect kidney problems from early on, even before
Yeah.
symptoms? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There's a really easy blood test that we can do. It's part of the sort of routine blood draws that they'll do when you get a checkup and you're going into the, to see the doctor in the clinic, or, and they're able to use the blood that they draw to estimate how well your kidneys are doing. And so they have a picture of what your kidney function is very easily from that blood test. And it's really helpful because then we can monitor it over time and we can see, is it trending down? Is it trending up? How's it doing? Is it staying the same? And then that can help us understand, if someone maybe sees that their levels are low, they make changes in their life, they could come in and see that it's staying steady, or that their kidney function has improved.
Even that their kidney function has improved. All right. So can kidney disease be reversed?
In the early stages, absolutely. Yeah.
It can. Okay. And that would typically be as a function of your lifestyle, your eating, and so on?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And doing physical activity too is always super helpful. So just getting outside, taking a walk, going swimming, right? It doesn't have to be crazy, lifting weights in the gym. I mean, do that if you want, but just any of that movement helps your body move things along, helps with your metabolism. So diet is really important. Physical activity is really important. And then, of course, again, if you're someone with high blood pressure or someone with diabetes, being really careful about taking your medications as they're prescribed and thinking about the dietary restrictions that are specific to those diseases as well.
All right, I get you. So, Judy, what role does the timing of your meals play in supporting kidney function? I know some of us, we have very hectic lifestyles, and maybe we don't eat our dinner until about 11:30 at night, and then we probably go to bed after that. Or we get up in the morning and we don't really eat a good breakfast. We may just have a cup of coffee or something, and then we don't start eating until about 12. Does the timing of a meal help to assist our kidney function in any way?
Well, studies are being done where they're suggesting that not having breakfast or skipping breakfast or having late dinner can contribute to the function of the kidneys. So yes.
All right. Doc, is there anything from your side that you would want to add to that? Anything about, go ahead.
About the timing of meals?
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, I think the big thing is it comes back to sleep, right? So sleep is the chance for our body to take a break and rest, right? So it's not just our minds that are sleeping, but a lot of the functions in our body are sleeping as well. So when we eat a big meal right before we go to bed, we're giving a really mixed message, right? We're telling our body, all right, you got to do all this work and digest all this food and put it all in your body and get it all in. But also, it's time to stop and take a break and relax. And so how your digestion works and how all those foods get processed and turned into energy in your body can sometimes get out of whack. And so being able to be careful to give your body a chance to finish doing all of that work before it's time for bed can be really helpful.
Excellent. I love that. This is good. We have to go for another break. And this is Family Time Live on Love 101 FM. And you can watch us on YouTube and on Facebook. It is produced by Family Life Ministries. And for our social media interaction, we want you to tell us, how do you make sure your family eats healthily? Send your answers via WhatsApp text or voice note, and the number is 997-3125. Try to keep those voice notes no longer than 30 seconds. All right? We want to hear from you. It's break time. Oh, I just realized we don't have Word to Flesh with Reverend Mike. I'm so sorry about that. No worries. We're going to be back after this break.
On the next episode of the Mailbox, we will explore the topic managing pressures as a man. Mental health remains one of the most pressing challenges of our time. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 4 people globally will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime. In Jamaica, 3% of the population lives with a depressive disorder. Let's hear from guests, Reverend Dr. Courtney Faulkner, founder chairman of Talk About It Limited, and Dr. Paul Smith, clinical psychologist. The Mailbox is brought to you by Solid PVC Pipes, manufactured in Jamaica by Fosrich Company Limited. That's Wednesday, March 12 at 5:30 p.m. only on the family station. Love 101, celebrating 32 years of sharing hope, touching hearts. The Mailbox Monday.
The time by Grace Could Move is...
It's 5:59 p.m.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101 FM, and the time is now 6:01 p.m. Family Time is brought to you by Family Life Ministries, and Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Our show this evening is about kidney disease, what the family needs to know. And our special guests are Judy Bartley, who is a registered dietitian with a special interest in nephrology, and Dr. Eleanor Riviera is assistant professor in the Department of Population Health Nursing Science at the College of Nursing, University of Illinois, Chicago. Now, for our listeners and our viewers, someone in your family, maybe even you, has kidney disease. How are you feeling? You want to know more? Well, let's get even more information from our guests now. And Doc, I have a very dear friend who just lost his wife. She had been living with kidney disease for many years. And one of the things that I know he had to do is he had to take her to get treatment twice a week. And that treatment twice a week was really difficult and in a way debilitating for her. She felt good afterward, but I think it wasn't something that she looked forward to. If kidney disease reaches its later stages, what happens? What are the treatment options?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. This is really such a great illustration of how serious this can become for people and their families. We're lucky that there are starting to be some medications that can help protect kidney function in the later stages. But when we really get to that point of kidney failure, as you talked about, the most common treatment that people will have is dialysis. And so what happens is, right, the kidneys have failed. We need to replace what they're doing somehow. And so some people may take the path where they're able to get a kidney transplant. But if that's not what they want to do, or if they're still waiting for that to become an option, we have this technique called dialysis. And what that means is we can get a machine to do the job of removing fluid and removing waste products from the body. The problem with that is, right, our kidneys are doing that 24/7, right? They're doing that work all the time. And so, as you said, people who are on dialysis have to come into the clinic 2 or 3 times a week, usually for anywhere between 2 and 5 hours, where they're hooked up to a machine that's filtering their blood. And as you said, when they're done, sometimes they can feel really good that that fluid has come off. They're all of their electrolytes, everything's back in balance. But then in the period of time from when they're done until they come in next, everything just starts to build up and build up again.
Wow, it is rough. And as I said, we recently lost a dear friend to it. That process you said takes about 4 hours typically. So if you go in 3 times a week, you're talking about 3 times a week of 4 hours. Is it an expensive process?
In the United States, we have a different system. So at least for in the United States, anyone who is able to be eligible for Medicare. Medicare does cover dialysis treatment here in the United States. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, obviously it can be extremely expensive, and people are also, as you can imagine, at a really high risk of complications, right? Because this isn't the natural process, right? Our kidneys are supposed to be doing this work in a different way. So people are at a high risk of getting an infection or of having, something kind of go out of whack during the treatment or other times. And so people also, on top of being at the clinic so much, can often be hospitalized quite frequently as well.
Right. And I don't want to get too graphic, but what happens if a patient has to miss a particular appointment or for some reason cannot attend the regular schedule that they have? But what happens to the patient?
Yeah, I mean, in the best case scenario, they're going to feel very uncomfortable, right? Because their fluid is going to build up past the point that their treatment is supposed to protect them against. They might start to feel more and more of those symptoms. In the worst case scenario, they might have to go right into the hospital, because if you reach that point where things build up too far, that puts strain on your heart. Your electrolytes can go out of balance. That can put a strain on your heart. So there's a lot of other things that could be consequences of skipping those dialysis appointments. So they are unskippable if you want to make
Unskippable.
unskippable.
Right. And you've just said something that I don't think I understood before. All of these organs and things are connected. So if you put too much stress on one, it causes a ripple effect with the others as well. And you mentioned the heart a while ago. That is something for us to really think about. For Judy, I understand. I don't know if this is true. That can tell me that some dialysis patients struggle with nausea or loss of appetite. So what are some ways that they can still ensure that they get the proper nutrition, if this is true? Do they suffer from nausea and loss of appetite when they do dialysis or when they're to go on dialysis?
It can happen. It can happen. Normally, we'd encourage persons to try and have frequent small meals. They would tolerate that a little better. Try and ensure that your meals are not highly scented. They're more of a bland kind of meal. Um, Eat frequently, drink your fluids, and eat your meals at different times so as not to have a build up in the stomach. Try to have there are actually commercial liquids or meals on the market that can help with that, which are specifically formulated for persons with kidney disease. And having those, it's quick, it's easy, it's small portion, and you're still getting your nutrients, you're still getting your calories that you actually need. So there are different ways that you can try and see what works for you.
Right. Earlier on, when we were asking about specific foods to watch and to try and avoid if you are battling kidney disease, you mentioned saltfish. So our national dish of ackee and saltfish and some fried breadfruit, and are those things that you would still encourage someone to eat, but maybe in smaller portions? How would you respond to that?
It depends on the stage of the kidney disease. It depends on how this person is managing their nutrition in general. Because one, the kidney is high in potassium, and the saltfish is high in sodium. So that is a meal that is not really ideal for someone with kidney disease. However, based on how they are controlling themselves, based on what their labs are like, then from time to time we can encourage a little here and there. I mean, I understand it's our national dish and we want to have it, right? As it relates to the fried dumpling and the fried breadfruit and all of those, the fat content of those we would have to focus on. But in the later stages, we try to encourage a little more fat because there are so many restrictions with other things. So a person in the later stage of kidney disease, we would recommend a little more fat than the average person. Of course, if this individual has heart condition and high cholesterol and those stuff, we have to be very careful with how we're
Right.
planning this fat intake.
Absolutely. So it really, I'm hearing that this thing is not a one size fits all. You have
No,
to really tailor it
it's
for each
individualized.
individual,
Yes.
right? We've been talking about dialysis, but doc, I understand that there is a way now that you can use a pig kidney. Is that so?
No, not yet.
No. Oh,
Yeah, so for right now, the only option that we have if someone needs a transplant is to get a kidney from a person. Uh,
right.
so everybody has two, so it is totally possible for someone who's healthy and well and willing to donate a kidney to someone in their family. Or, sometimes the families and people who have passed are able to donate an organ from someone who's passed. There's a lot of research that's being done for other strategies. And so one of them is what you're bringing up, right? We go back to pigs very often because their organs are very similar to ours, which you wouldn't expect because they look so different. But the problem is if you try to put a pig kidney in a person, your body knows that it's not supposed to be there.
It's not supposed to be there, right?
And so other strategies that they're working on is being able to take someone's cells and grow a new kidney in the lab and be able to use that. And then it would be just like one of your own. And then they've tried to use like a mechanical device that could maybe mimic the functions of the kidneys. But none of those are anywhere near being able to help you and me anytime soon if that's something that we were to need.
I have a question about that, Doc. We have been able to do so many other artificial things, like something as important as our heart. What is it about the kidney that has defied replication, that has defied our attempts to make a little machine to insert and carry out the function of the kidney? What makes it so hard?
Well, I do think we have a lot of technological advances, but even the stuff that we have to mimic the heart is not it's not great.
Yeah,
I think for me, one of the things as a healthcare provider, it just goes to show you sort of the miracle of the human body, right? It's extremely complex and works very well when it's well maintained. And you can see how much work would have to go into creating something that could do all of the different functions that a kidney does. Because, for example, with dialysis, that's only one of the things the kidney does, right? There's other things kidneys do that we have to add back in all sorts of other ways. And so the body's designed the way that it is to be in harmony. And so we do our best with scientific advances to try to approach that. But I think it gives you a lot of respect for the complexity of the human body that we take for granted because it works so well that we walk around every day not thinking about all the tiny miracles in our body that are happening every minute to keep everything going.
right. I don't want to make this too technical or too boring for our listeners, but what else does the kidney do?
So kidneys are really important in blood production. That's sort of like I think of like as the second biggest one. So folks with kidney failure often have to take extra medications that help pump up their body. They're at really high risk of getting anemia because their blood levels can start to get really low. That's sort of, if we don't want to get too in the weeds, that's probably the second most important thing the kidneys do.
Wow, I had no idea about that. This stuff is really important. So when a family member is tackling kidney disease, we have to look at so many other aspects of their health, so many other facets of their body as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like as we were talking about before, the heart gets really easily affected by things that are going on with the kidneys. So people with kidney failure and advanced kidney disease are at actually really high risk for heart problems as well. And so that's why it's so important to be having a good amount of communication with healthcare providers. I talked earlier about my father, who's a little bit older. He really benefits from having me go to doctor's appointments with him. And we're so lucky as a family that I'm able to take that time and do that because having another person in the room to help you remember things, to help you ask questions, to think some of this through can be so valuable. And the way that we can work together as a team, as a family, to keep people's health and well-being at the highest level we can.
Absolutely. We have to go for another break. I can't take all of these breaks, but we have to go for another break to make some money. And so we are heading into our final break now. You're listening to Family Time on Love 101 FM, and you may be watching us on YouTube or on Facebook. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries. And today our feedback question is, how do you make sure your family eats healthily? Send us your answers. The WhatsApp number is 997-3125, or you can comment on Facebook and YouTube as well. And also, did you know There are two books from FLM you'll want on your shelves today. The first one is Answers to Questions Parents Ask, and the second is Questions on Love, Sex, and Marriage. Purchase any of these two valuable reads from Brian's bookstore, the Jamaica Baptist Union bookstore, and Source of Light bookstore. And then there's a third book, Before They Say I Do, the questionnaire and manual specifically for counselors, psychologists, pastors, and marriage officers. This is available on Amazon through a simple search. And the search you're going to do is you're going to search for Barry Davidson. All three books, including the third edition of Before They Say I Do, are available through Family Life Ministries. You can call them at 920-1034 or 926-8101. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
In the Bible, God's compassion is described as new every morning and never failing. Compassion 24/7. Let's talk about its characteristics, the ultimate act of compassion, its pros and cons. Tuesday, March 11, on The Rock. Join guests Reverend Ralston Nemard and Pastor Luke Smith as they discuss the topic compassion. That's The Rock, Tuesday, March 11 at 10 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back. It is now 16 minutes past 6 in the evening, and you are tuned to Love 101 FM. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries. And FLM provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Remember, you can tune into the program via the Love 101 Facebook page and the YouTube channel. Our topic today is kidney disease, what the family needs to know. And our special guests are Dr. Eleanor Riviera and Judy Bartley. I'm so glad they're on because I have been learning so much. We are on the last lap. This is the final leg of our relay here now. And there are some things that I hope we can leave our listeners with, some encouraging words maybe, and some ways that they can get help if they need help. And so, Doc, I want to begin with you again. Can people live a normal life while they are on dialysis?
I wish that I could say yes, but the answer is no. You know, as we talked about before, you have those very frequent dialysis sessions that are unskippable if you want to stay well. As you know, Judy mentioned, there's a lot of foods that you have to be really careful about eating too much or too little of. You have to be careful about how much fluid you're taking in, no matter what that is, even if it's water. You have to experience a lot of really severe symptoms despite the benefits of what the dialysis can do for you. So unfortunately, no. I mean, it's really, people can still have a full life and a fulfilling life, but it's certainly going to be heavily impacted by their dialysis.
Right. And I suspect, Judy, that one of the factors is their ability to eat properly. Some people may find grocery shopping a little bit overwhelming when they've got a demand on what they can eat, what they can't eat, because it may in some ways get a little bit challenging on the budget. So Judy, what should people look for when they're going grocery shopping? What can help them to make healthier choices when they're in the supermarket or in the market?
Well, one of the main things I would say is learn how to read your food labels. Know what it means, right? When it comes on to kidney disease, we have to focus on our sodium intake, we have to focus on our potassium, we have to focus on our phosphorus. So we have to understand what it means when the label says low sodium versus how much milligram is there, how high is too high, that kind of thing. When it comes down to potassium, it's the same thing. So we have to basically learn how to read our food labels. So you look for food items that are pretty much low in our sodium, and low would mean anywhere about 140 milligrams per serving or less, right? So we'd focus on that. High sodium foods, once we're over 20% of our daily value, we are extremely high. And with kidney disease, we're not supposed to go there any at all, right? Um, Very low sodium, we're looking at about 35 milligrams or less. So it all depends on knowing what to look for on your food labels when you're buying your stuff. When it comes on to potassium, foods that are in the 200 milligrams or less, we would consider that low potassium pretty much. So you focus for those food that are in that range or not too much higher than the 200 milligrams per serving. Phosphorus, same thing. So you look for your low phosphorus, which is about 50 milligrams or less. You look for your moderate phosphorus, which is about 50 to 150, but we try not to go over those limits. So at the end of the day, learning to read your food labels, know what each nutrient and the percentage value on there means is very, very important.
That's very important. I always love to eat my ripe bananas. Are those good things for us to eat when we have any issues with our kidney?
Well, ripe banana is one of those food items that is considered high potassium.
Yeah.
But visiting a dietitian, getting your required potassium and sodium and phosphorus checked, getting that calculated in your meal plan, it is perfectly fine. But if we're going to
Ah,
sit down now and eat the ripe banana like
eat
it's
5 for the morning.
then that is going to be a problem.
All right. Okay, I hear you. We have a comment from a listener, and this is from Thera. And the comment from Thera says, fruit in the morning, lean meat where possible, vegetables with lunch and evening meal, fruit for snacks, nuts and dairy for added protein and healthy fats, water instead of sugary drinks, homemade drinks where the sugar content can be controlled. And she finishes off by saying, breakfast before leaving home. How does that sound to you, Judy?
Sounds good.
It sounds good for true?
Sounds good
Oh,
for someone who is healthy, know what they're doing, watching that diet, sounds perfectly fine. But when it comes on to someone with any kind of condition, you have to get some professional help there to make sure that your portions are on point.
right. Okay, so the portion sizes, or let me say it a different, let me ask it a different way. The ratio of those things in your plate matters.
Yes.
Okay, so if I'm going to eat those things and the most that is in my plate is the lean meat, I have half of my plate full up with the lean meat, and then I have a quarter with vegetables, and I have another quarter with some beans or something like that. Is that okay?
Typical Jamaicans, right?
I
No,
see
that's
Doc
not
laughing.
that's not okay. That's a whole lot of
Oh,
protein, very small amount of carbs and veg. So no.
all right. So that's not okay. Tell
Mm.
me something. I have been on diets and I've been able to benefit from my wife and my child saying, "Daddy, remember so and so." And so I will be careful about what I eat because of their input. How important is family support when we're talking about these dietary restrictions and even more serious than that, the issue of kidney disease? How important is family support?
Very important. Very, very important. Always having that push to say, remember, you're not supposed to have that. Remember, you're not supposed to have too much of that. Remember, you're supposed to be having more of that. very good support.
Very good support. Doc, we're almost at the end now, so I want to give you an opportunity to just share your final thoughts, your final ideas with our listeners.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm so grateful to get this chance to come and talk now. And I think this is such a perfect example of what people need to do. They need to learn more, right? There's sometimes when if you let something be a mystery, if you don't find out about it, then maybe you don't have to worry about it or you don't have to do anything about it, right? And so remembering that it's your responsibility to make sure that you're checking in on your health, that you're taking care of things. And if you let things go by the wayside, they can really come back to bite you. So as a healthcare provider, and Judy here too, right? There's we went to school for a long time. We learned a lot of stuff so that we can help you. And so we're excited to be a partner with you in your own health. But what that means is you got to come in and see us. You got to take the time and think and ask questions, right? You got to come ready to learn something new and help yourself take some of that accountability and decide, what are you going to do with this information and how do you want to change your life moving forward? And as Judy said, you're doing that as a family, right? You're making different decisions about how your family is going to eat and how your family is going to move their body and how you're going to interact with the world. And we're excited to be a partner in that as healthcare providers too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doc. Judy, your thoughts, your encouragement, your final words to our listeners.
Well, in addition to what Doc says, it's a partnership. You and your healthcare provider. Be open, be willing to take advice, be open, be willing to leave some of the things that you thought you can't live without, to make sure that you're having a healthier life. Eating healthy, very important, taking your medication, not skipping your dialysis when you're on dialysis. Everything plays a role in having a healthy lifestyle.
If somebody is not thinking about kidney disease, but they are concerned that maybe another member of the family may be looking that way or maybe having something like that, what's the best approach for them to get help? What's the best way for them to assist their family member? Either one of you, either one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, come into the clinic for a checkup, right? And like I said, these blood draws that we do to kind of check on how everything's doing, kidney function is one of those. So it's a great opportunity to have that conversation and say, hey, how are my kidney levels doing? Is this something that I need to be worried about? And that can kind of break that ice. And or if you're someone who has access to your medical records, you can go back and look, see what your kidney levels are, see what it says. And you can have that conversation with the members of your family together.
Right. I think that is so important. Ladies, I want to say thank you very much for being with us today. This has been an enlightening program for me. Just that little comment about the fact that the kidneys don't just do one thing, they do so many different things. I found that to be an incredibly informative comment. And I know that our listeners will have appreciated this. Judy, thank you so much. Doc Eleanor, thank you very much.
So happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Judy. Thanks for being here with us. Now, for our listeners and our viewers, if you have questions of a personal nature or you're concerned about a friend or a family member, call us. For more information on our services or for our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island, contact our head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Note that for appointments and information on costs, you must call the offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and our programs, you can check us out on our new Facebook page at FLM-Family Life Ministries, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries-FLMJA. And on Instagram, you can get in contact with us simply by putting in FLMJA. Before we leave you, here is our verse for this evening. It is from Psalm 3, and it is verse 3. But you, O Lord, are a shield for me, my glory, and the one who lifts up my head. Let me say that again. But you, O Lord, are a shield for me, my glory, and the one who lifts up my head. Join us again next week for another informative program. Thanks again to our special guests, Dr. Eleanor Rivera and Judy Bartley. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale. Thanks to Derval Graham for piloting us through this hour. And of course, all of you for listening, for watching, for being here with us. Have a great week. I'm Roland. God bless you.
In the Bible, God's compassion is described as new every morning and